Well, now let's bring into the conversation Anupam Mittal, founder and CEO of Shaadi.com, an Asian matchmaking and marriage website. Do you think that your platform is sort of different from the platforms that proliferate in the West, you know, the sort of swipe left, swipe right, go on dates, Tinder models? As you're sort of more set up potentially to look for that one true match?
Yeah, we like to think of it as stop swiping and start settling. So if you just think about the continuum of dating, I think it's gotten more organized in the internet era. And if you look at extremely the left-hand side, you think of hookups, and some of the apps that you mentioned are more associated with that. And if you go to the extreme right, you have these sort of traditional matchmakers that go through a very laborious process of finding your match. We're somewhere right of center, where we are an app for somebody seeking a life partner, and that's the primary purpose of the app. So yeah, in that sense, we are different.
I think it's different cultural mores for people from Asian backgrounds that's driving the way your app works, or is it that your app is now changing sort of cultural mores among people from Asian backgrounds?
Well, I think it's a combination of two, and at some point, you kind of lose sense of what is causing what. I think when we first started out, the premise was very simple. Essentially, Asians living in the UK and the US were fundamentally displaced from, India, and they were looking for people from their community, because not just for racial considerations, but rather because when you find somebody from your own community or ethnic background, lifestyles can be very similar, and so compatibility increases. And so because they had fewer options being displaced from their country of origin, I think Shaadi.com played a very important role in bringing them together. And that was really the reason for our being. But over time, as we've seen it, I think things are evolving. I think things have had a tremendous change, particularly in the last year or two. And the same technology that earlier allowed you, for example, to be anonymous and perhaps border on even misusing the platform in certain cases, is now very quickly transforming into technology which puts safety first, puts security first, allows people to talk online, and so on. So I think this is sort of the new way to date, the new way to find a life partner. And I think it's far more efficient and effective.
But do you think that, people are now faced with a huge amount of choice that actually might make commitment or settling extremely difficult? And it can end up being a sort of exhausting and rather depressing succession of either not being able to find your perfect person or never finding the person who thinks you're their perfect person.
Yeah, I think the point you're making is the pendulum has swung the other way. And from a point where you didn't have enough choice to a point where you have more than enough choice can be exasperating. I think that's the point you're making. I don't think that's just about seeking a life partner, although it can get more pronounced in that context. But if you think about it, I mean, that's an existential problem that you're talking about. I think it's more of a philosophical question. Were we better off when we were cavemen with very little choice, or are we better off today with all the choice in the world? So I think that's a far deeper conversation to be had. But when it comes to seeking a life partner, I fundamentally believe that having more choice is better. In a lot of ways, finding the right life partner is a numbers game. Like they say, you have to kiss a lot of frogs. And fortunately, with technology, you don't necessarily have to kiss them. You can just interact with them digitally until you find the prince. So I think of these in that context.